Guys, we are here. It is 2019, and 2, we're in a treehouse.
We are. This is the Uncommon podcast. Live from the treehouse.
We're really doing it.
We're just talking over each other.
We have wanted to do a podcast for so long. We've been talking about it, and we're going to go. We're on it, and we're starting the new year off with all y'all that are listening, which is us right now.
That's right. It's funny to talk to a lot of people when there's only 2 other people here present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, hey out there, people who might listen. We hope you do. We're talking to you.
So let's tell them who we are. Cody, you go first.
I'll go first. My name's Cody. I am one of the hosts and co-founders of Uncommon Good, a nonprofit organization doing good things in North County, San Diego. And, I do some techie and communications kind of stuff, as well as, ministry-related things.
I'm Dawn. Also, we're here in San Diego, born and raised. I got 2 kiddos, and I'm married to my husband, Drew, and have been on this uncommon journey for the last year or so. I do... Gosh, I don't even want to list the things I do. It's boring. Okay, go ahead, Ryan.
We all do a little bit of everything.
Hey, I'm Ryan, and we are in our backyard right now, up in a tree house. I had 2 boys built the tree house for. They don't play in it very much, but I've had a goal of doing a podcast up here ever since we all started talking about it. In San Diego and background and human anatomy and ministry and woodwork.
It's a varied background.
Right, isn't it? And just excited to bring this. What Uncommon Good is basically we want to find a place in between the gap where our current culture and church break off. There's a miss there. And we want to reintroduce people to a God that loves them in a space that's comfortable for them with Uncommon Good. And it's so cool to be on this journey with you guys. And we should tell them what's coming up in this new year.
Yeah.
Oh, but can you guys hear this?
No, it's
you
silent.
Can't hear the pulley.
It's silent.
So I'm currently, my awesome wife, Rachel, she prepped some champagne for us coming up the pulley from the house to the tree house. Coming up.
Here it comes.
Here it comes.
It's a long ways.
It is.
If you follow us on social media, you'll probably
too.
see this.
Cheers, you guys. Here's our basket of good.
Yeah.
A little bubbly for 2019. Some napkins, just because Cody's a mess with these things. And some cookies.
Woohoo.
This is awesome. My wife, Rachel, she rocks.
She does. We're fans.
Right? So you guys talk while
Yeah,
I bust
all
open
right.
a bubbly.
So essentially, just a little bit more about what Uncommon Good does is, as Ryan said, we are trying to bridge that gap between church and culture. And we're trying to create a space for people who have felt uninvited. Maybe you were told you were uninvited from church. Maybe it was just a message that you weren't allowed to wear a certain hat when you came in and you were like, I like this hat, so I'm out.
I got that message once when I was a wee teen.
Yeah.
And an elder, if you will, tore it off my head.
Yeah. So, if you've had that experience,
funny.
we will not ever take your hat off your head. You can wear any type of hat you wish, a beret, a cowboy hat. We're open to all types of hats.
Yeah.
Let's see. Additionally, if you had a bad experience at church and you've just kind of walked away, if you thought that church was irrelevant and therefore God was irrelevant, we're trying to make all these things new and create a space for any of you that fit those categories, or even people who are church attenders currently but are just looking for a new way to connect with their faith.
So how do you guys answer? This is good, because how do you guys answer the question, are you a church? Because I know we all go to other churches in our community. Mm-hmm. So, Cody, are you a church?
I usually answer, whoa, that was great.
We might have peaked out our volume there.
That's okay.
I'll pour, you talk.
Okay. It really depends on who I'm talking to, and I know that sounds kind of weird and maybe sneaky. I don't know, but if I'm talking to a Christian person, I start with the idea of church as they know it, and I explain how we are trying to accomplish church in a different way. If I'm talking to somebody who I'm not sure if they have faith or not, I talk about us as a nonprofit that has religious foundations, and I tell them what we do, and I'll be open about the fact that we do churchy things as well, but that we're trying to do it in a different way.
Yeah, and I think some of the things, I would answer the same way. It depends on who I'm talking to. But some of the things that we believe in at Uncommon Good that are probably different maybe than some churches that you have gone to before, is we really believe in the sacrament of party, hence champagne while we're podcasting at 11 in the morning.
I hope you're picking up the audio. I'm pouring right in front
We
of the
are.
microphone. Ooh, oh, man. I'm the mess.
So we believe in the sacrament of party. We believe that gathering is actually a spiritual act. So even if we get together and we don't do any churchy thing, the fact that a bunch of people are together and having fun and enjoying the company of other people, that makes God smile. And that's a spiritual act. So we definitely do things different. We meet in wineries a lot of the time, and we do involve a lot of things with food and alcohol, because I know this other guy that did a lot of things with food and alcohol. His name was Jesus. So
Yeah.
we take our cues from him, basically.
Ooh, and we'll tell you of some of those events coming up too in just a little bit. Before we end, you guys, cheers.
Cheers.
And I know how I'll taste it.
Oh yeah.
It's good.
It's good. Rachel had a good idea sending that up to us in the treehouse. Hey, I know I've been answering that question too when people ask me at church, hey, is that thing you're doing another church? And I've been saying that what Uncommon Good hopes to be is an extension of the kingdom of God in our community, where a lot of people felt like maybe they weren't invited to the kingdom or part of that kingdom. But we want to create another stage in our community that's very welcoming and easy for people to come to, where they get introduced to lots of churchy people, other pastors from local churches in our area. They get to experience God's love. They get to feel like they belong before they believe. No matter what they believe, they get to feel included where they've ever felt excluded. And we just want to extend the love in our community. I say love a lot when I talk about Uncommon Good.
Spirituality normal again. Like, it doesn't have to be this staunchy, buttoned up starch thing that, you have to put on this fake self to show up and pretend like you know all the answers and have it all together, and that you didn't just yell at your kids in the car on the way.
Totally.
Right?
And you can wear what you want, and you don't have to apologize for cussing.
So like what if spirituality, what if God actually intended us to engage faith in the realness of life, and not in pews and rows that we show up to once a week where we pretend to be something that we're not any other time of the week. And so that's kind of when we say we're trying to bridge the gap between church and culture, that's what we mean. Like, we're making spirituality normal again.
Yeah. Cody, I wanted you to share it because you and I just got to experience some good church this last week, and it was while throwing axes.
Totally.
And that was like such a good moment that I felt like, oh, this is it. I want to bring more of this to the community.
Yeah, I mean, and that's we will talk about often in this podcast that the kingdom of God is like a party, and everybody's invited. And a lot of times when you're in community with one another, and you get that feeling of relationship and friendship,
And like, oh, this is good.
yeah, there's something about it that you're just like, oh, what is this? And we had a similar thing to that recently. A few of us dudes went to throw axes, and you rent a lane and you throw some axes at a wood wall with a target on it. And I'll tell you what, after we threw axes around, we decided to have the beer afterwards. That was
usually a good mix.
Yeah,
with
it was
axes.
Yeah, you don't want to have too
sharpened
much
shovel heads
The
when you're
buzz with the throwing axes is not a good idea. So we had some beer afterwards, and we sat down and we talked, and some of the amazing stories of life, struggles, just real conversations that happened after throwing axes with a few dudes around a table. And we think that that's church, honestly. And we love the local church, and we love what the local church is doing, and we love the church of the building that you go to and sit in pews and stuff. But we think that there's something more. And Ryan's phone rang. That's okay, though. That's going to happen. This podcast, we're in a treehouse, people.
I was
Phones are
considering
gonna
answering
ring.
it. It was Ryan Reynolds calling us. I figured, Ryan, hey,
Reynolds.
but we'll pause.
Yeah, so
the Ryan Reynolds.
the
He calls
Ryan,
us.
yeah,
He calls
Deadpool
us.
himself. Anyways, so yeah, we love what the local church is doing, but we believe that there's something more that is needed for culture. And we're going to talk a lot about that too, and what is that gap between church and culture. You'll learn about that stuff in this podcast too.
So you want to share some stuff that's coming up?
Yes.
Where we're going in the new year?
Okay, so as Don and Cody talked about, we have the sacrament of party, and we think that God's people, the kingdom of God, should be a gift to community. So one of the great things that we will do monthly is a big thing called Uncommon Party, where we just bring a party to the community, whether it be in a local park or a brewery or take over a local pizza place or business. We're going to be doing that once a month to just create a place where people can connect. There's honestly no message other than come hang out, have a good time. It's a message of love. And
Sounds sultry.
you guys, we want you to follow us. If you're in North County, San Diego, just come and join the parties, because we want people to love where they live, and we can be a catalyst of that, because we're created to be like the Creator, who had very creative ways of getting people together and gathering and enjoying life. So that's one thing. Uncommon Parties will be coming up.
Another thing that we do pretty regularly is this event we call Wine and Words. And
So good.
it's really good if you haven't come. Our basic premise with Wine and Words is to reclaim truth about life, faith, and being human. And so we try to tackle things that real folk care about. We try to talk
Like
about things.
zombies.
Yeah, like zombies, if you've ever wondered about that.
Exclusive truth and inclusive love.
Yeah. Things that maybe have kept you from faith, or maybe have been reasons why you walked away from faith, or just questions you're afraid to ask out loud because you've been at church so long it's like awkward to bring it up now. It's like
Can
when
I ask that question?
Like when you meet somebody and you've met them like 5 times but you can't remember their name, and so you're like, I can't ask their name anymore. There's things like that in our faith. We're like, I can't. It's too far gone. Like, I can't bring it up now. I'll look like an idiot.
Some of those. Can I even believe that thing, the Bible? Isn't that just compiled over the years to say certain things that we can't trust in from the beginning?
Yeah. Or what about science? Like, do all Christians reject science?
Seriously, you really think it was created like that in
Right.
Genesis? How do you put those together, faith and science?
So we like to tackle topics like that maybe you don't hear being discussed in polite society. We don't consider ourselves polite society. So we talk about things that are better discussed over a glass or two of wine, frankly, and not at your dining room table with your weird uncle.
Although you can always invite that weird uncle, we welcome that. It colors it up.
A couple things that we know we want to hit in this new year. We kind of want to launch into a year of good.
Yes.
So what are some of the things we've talked about hitting in this year of good?
So we wanted to be a gift of good to our community. So we want to bring some of the conversations that we'll have at Wine and Words and parties and gatherings will be about, for those of you that are married, how can we bring in speakers and spark conversations that will better your marriage, better your communication, better your understanding of one another, better doing life together and seeing marriage as an adventure and a blessing. So we want to be a catalyst of good marriages in our community.
And we want to talk about things like parenting too. Do you have kids? Do you want to figure out, how do I be a good parent? What does that look like? What does that look like for a parent following Jesus? What does that look like for just a parent trying to figure it out? We want to bring in people who can speak to that kind of stuff. We also, the three of us, have recently been diving deep into this thing called the Enneagram, which we'll talk about eventually. And it's been this like kind of self-understanding and self-discovery of like deeper than your personality, just the way you operate. And that's been super helpful for us. So we want to bring things like that to the table to help our community better understand themselves.
Yeah,
and,
that self-awareness.
And bring the best of who you are to the world.
Mm-hmm. I know we've also talked about just generally, how do we have important conversations? That was a topic we wanted to hit, because it seems like right now in our culture, the art of disagreeing is a lost art, frankly. Mm-hmm. So how do we engage in topics that we're passionate about with people that we care about who we might disagree with? Because one of the things that we believe is that simply sitting at the table with somebody who's different than you or who believes differently than you is also this act of spirituality. Like, there's something so powerful in breaking bread with people who are different than you. And so how do we do that well? That's one of the things that we want to talk about.
Yeah. And that's a good time to talk about the common table as well.
Mm-hmm.
You just getting lit up today, Ryan.
I know.
Another thing that we do is the common table, and that's people getting together around the table in homes. And our dream would be that people would just have a common table at their home and invite their neighbors, invite people that they meet at the post office or whatever.
All the neighbors that you don't know the names of and you've never had them over. Like,
you can't ask anymore. They're those people.
Until you can say, oh, those, our friends, they just wanted us to create a place and invite all our neighbors over. We're going to give you the in to get to know your neighbors and therefore make a way better community.
And maybe take notes this time. Like, write down their hair color and what their name is. So that's kind of what's on the docket for Uncommon Good in the next few months. We also do Uncommon Worship, which is a chance for our community to gather and actually do a worship service where we talk about the Bible in ways that are relevant to life, and we sing some worship songs. And
which right there, if you go to church or you haven't gone to church in a long time, to come into a place where people know the songs, they somehow know when to stand up and sit down, and everyone's singing, and the only time you've ever sang is at the last, like, Panic at the Disco concert you went to, or U2, whatever your poison is there.
Maybe it's Meghan Trainor or Taylor Swift. We don't know.
It could be. But those are the only times in culture that you really get up and you sing songs, and it can get so normalized in church that we forget to talk about what do those words mean, and why do people sing together, and what does all that mean? So we want to create a comfortable place to do all those churchy things.
Kind of unwrap some of the mystery around, like, church services. So our Uncommon Worship is really for everybody, but we make a very intentional effort to kind of peel back some of the mystery and explain what we're doing and why we're doing it. And we use normal words.
Yeah.
So good.
Not words that you only use when you go to church.
And we do other things besides music, too. And we engage in other types of worship, and we explain that there are other types of worship besides music. And so that's been really fun the last couple times that we've done it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to let you guys know I'm getting a whiff of smoke in the treehouse, which somehow worries me with all the electricity we brought up here.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any smoke, so we'll just keep going and we'll close up this podcast.
It smells like
all of our listeners can know that afterwards we're going to be finding out where is the smoke smell coming from. So,
hopefully it's cold in San Diego. Somebody's lit a fire.
So, like, we had this goal of our first podcast to be somewhere between just 15 to 20 minutes to introduce you all to us, to myself, Ryan, and Cody and Dawn at Uncommon Good, what our hopes are, what we want to bring into the new year. And we're, like, right at our time. Is there anything you guys want to hit and tell our peeps before we sign off?
We just love seeing your faces. I think one thing if you should know is, we can sit here and plan all these great opportunities, but you breathe life into them. So when you show up to all of our stuff, like, you are the things that make Uncommon Good magic. Mm-hmm. So thanks for that.
Yes, and everyone is invited. In the last couple of years, we've been doing so much reading about who gets to be at the table with Jesus. He created these tables with all the messy people. We have all these stories of other people thinking Jesus sat at the table with all the wrong people. But the fact is everyone had a seat at the table, and we want to be that catalyst in our community to say everyone belongs. Come be a part of all these things, loving where you live and enjoying the community and learning about a God that loves you and is a creative God too.
Yeah.
What else, Cody?
I would just, leave them with where to find us.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
if
so
you've stumbled
wise.
onto this podcast, then you probably know us. But if you don't, you can find us at uncommongoodsd.com or at uncommongoodsd on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. But let's be honest, we're terrible at Twitter. Maybe we'll get better in 2019.
We won't, though.
I
We won't.
don't have a desire to tweet.
Yeah,
It's overused by some of the wrong people.
Yeah, I
Can
mean-
I say that? I think it's all the wrong people.
it's an argument space for sure.
We'll
But,
bring that up.
yeah, but if you want to find us, that's where you can find us, and we would love to connect with you in whatever way you find us, whether it's through this podcast or social media or website.
Can I say one last thing about February and getting weird?
Oh yeah.
What's coming up in February?
Okay, so in February, an old friend of mine named CJ Casiata, who I used to work with up at a Christian camp, he is an author now, and he wrote a book called Get Weird, and he's also launching an organization called Ring Beller, which is about these video series that he wants to put in schools to teach kids kindness and how to understand their unique self. And he's going to be coming and talking about what it means to get back to this thing that he calls the sacred weird. And that's that part of you that was fully you when you were a kid, and then somehow life or a person in your life kind of like beat it out of you or squashed it down, and now that unique part of you that makes you is not there anymore. And he's going to talk about how you can draw that out so that you can bring the best of yourself to the world, because we need your sacred weird.
I love that. Can't
So
wait.
February, getting weird, the true self that God created you to be, that maybe somewhere along the way someone snuffed out or told you can't be that.
Mm-hmm.
So that is 2019 coming up. We did it, you guys. This is our first podcast.
Did it.
We are going to get pop filters. David was just chiming in saying, get your pop filters, cover those P's and T's. Next time, we will.
It's a good thing it's episode 0.
Episode 0. We're open to criticism.
Also,
Always.
I really, really, really want to redo my introduction of myself because it was kind of a train wreck.
You can't do that.
It's
You'll
too
better
late.
luck next time,
Yeah,
Cody.
that's right.
We welcome the train wreck that you are.
I didn't mention my wife, my kids, nothing.
I know. We'll get more on that. But hey, God bless you all. And
Here we go.
here we go. We'll figure out something witty to say
Yeah.
every time, but that's it from the Treehouse. Uncommon Good. Peace.